Hi everyone. We're very excited to share with you today our placemaking proposal titled Destination Gleadell. This work has been produced in Melbourne and Brisbane. We are therefore acknowledge the Wurundjeri, Turrbal and Yagara people as traditional custodians of this land on which this work has been produced. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
To begin our discussion, we will provide a brief assessment of the site. Gleadell Street is surrounded by a host of local organisations such as sporting clubs and schools. It also borders Citizens Park, a hub for community activity. We came to understand the site further from an early storytelling session with the Community Legs group. Undoubtedly, this is a very community-driven site. Here we have highlighted the key existing networks and connections around the site. Of most interest are the schools and their facilities, the local recreational clubs, and the site for the pop-up market every Saturday.
By walking through the site, we identified that there is an overuse of cars and car parking on and around Gleadell Street. Whilst we understand there is a need for parking for weekend sport and market days, we believe this allowance for cars is limiting the potential for the site to be a destination instead of a through road. By addressing this problem, we are not only making a more sustainable move, we will increase the walkability and safety for pedestrians and provide more inviting and usable community space. We also identified several hard barriers and boundaries across the site. To support greater connectivity across the site, we believe softening these edges will invite more fluid interactions between people, green space, and the surrounding buildings. This map further illustrates the existing circulation and green space on and around the site. Notice once again the allowance for cars.
From our day 2 storytelling session with the notables of the Legs group, we came to understand the diversity of people interested in the site and the general inclusiveness and friendly community that makes this place unique. Some quotes from this session included 15-year resident Anne saying we need to provide for all citizens at and around Citizens Park, and Market Coffee owner reiterating themes of connection and belonging when he said, "We all want to belong." And lastly, the principal of Lionel Hall stating that we need to create a climate that is welcoming and safe.
From these discussions, it became apparent that our overall site values should be aligned with nature to reintroduce nature to Gleadell Street, vibrancy to showcase Richmond's vibrant and diverse community, accessibility, allowing for access in all forms and transportations, variability for adaptability on Gleadell Street for various functions, sustainable, bettering sustainable practice, and local, creating a thriving local network for individuals and businesses.
We have identified many stakeholders who have an interest in our place. Of priority are the stakeholders identified as having a high stake in the project, but low resources and mandate for change. These include residents, small businesses, school children, social clubs, and the native flora and fauna. On the left here, you can see our categorisation of stakeholders.
Furthering our initial discussion with the Legs group, we conducted an initial community engagement to find out their interest in the site, what they appreciate about the site, what they would like to see more, and what they felt could be improved. We noticed that 50% of people only stay for a short time on site. The market is a key interest in the site, followed by activities at Citizen Park, including dog walking, sports, and recreation. We asked about pedestrianising and fun. Walking is the most popular way to travel to and from Gleadell Street, and that more than 90% of participants will be interested in pedestrianising part of the street. The participant would like to see more gathering area, performance space, native biodiversity, and cultural representations.
Our placemaking proposal establishes the Gleadell Street site as a network of destinations, supporting a wider network of connections amongst the community. The existing networks we identified previously informed these destination points. Each point of activation addresses our overall site values.
Project aim is divided into activation and lens categories. By combining these two, we can see that what types of interventions would be implemented on site. Combining the activations of pedestrian flow, circulation, congregation, and events with a lens championing natural presence, wildlife, human-nature interaction, and Indigenous recognition, the following interventions are possible.
Driven by our ambition to create the site as a destination, the following opportunities were identified. We define these opportunities as attributes, all contributing to a deeper system of connections. There is a big storytelling component to our concept, and so this network is illustrated here as a narrative path. Starting on Griffith Street, our first activation point is Rowie Lane, followed by the partial pedestrianisation of Gleadell Street. Here, there will be a softening of hard barriers to blend and connect the surrounding buildings and site to the intervention. Our next activation point is a community farm garden in the existing Lionel Hall car park. To finish the network, we propose a pathway connecting Richmond High School and Griffith Street to Lionel Hall and the site.
Along the street, we intend to inject meaning and purpose, champion sociability, sustainability, and accessibility. We intend to tell significant stories and human-nature interactions within a community hub. We sketched out this narrative path and what potential interventions could look like in the existing spaces. Along Gleadell Street, pedestrianising the street to allow for a slower street, greenery which allows for a connection to nature, a cycle path which allows for accessibility and cyclist safety, flexible furniture which allows for adaptable areas, and market ability for market goers to enjoy Saturday mornings. We intend to do this by softening hard edges and barriers with green edges, and introduce flexible furniture for informal gatherings, introduce temporary pop-up food trucks, and promote social interaction and support local artists, as well as to look at hosting larger pop-up events, temporary screenings of live sporting events, temporary pop-up and recreational activities, and enhance native biodiversities by reintroducing native species back to the site.
For the community farm garden, we put in composting station to recycle organic waste. The floral garden provides nectar for honeybees and increase biodiversity of nature in Gleadell Street. The honeybee increase the health of trees through the pollination and have potential to provide market honey, and profit can go back to the garden maintenance service. We introduce beekeeping facility to promote positive human-nature interactions, create education space for children, and introduce a composting station to encourage sustainable practices, and also establish a community farm group to host events in the space with produce from the garden.
Our third attribute is the Rowie Laneway activation, which would see us activating through lights to increase usability and safety, look at introducing an Indigenous mural as a recognition of the traditional landowners, a social media hashtag to encourage connections online and enhance this concept of the laneway being a destination, a creative opportunity for children to create murals as well, and street furniture with native species, encouraging people to sit and gather. So expanding on that, we also would look at engaging with local artists to create art installations for the laneway. These could be suspended above, attached to the wall, or be a digital projection through the space. And as said before, also the street furniture to encourage people to linger longer.
We also plan to introduce the Northern Walkway between Richmond High School and Lionel Hall, and we intend for sit and gather for students, Richmond High School laneway for outdoor activities, Greenery is introduced to create shading and connection to nature, and flexible furniture allows for students to undertake many activities like play and study and recess in these spaces. We introduce flexible furniture. We show inviting pathways and seatings. We enhance nature and biodiversity and space for local organisations and clubs to gather and connect.
Our activation process is ordered in a stage timeline. Stage 1 is a 1-month trial of the program that incorporates our first activation on Gleadell Street. Stage 2 is a 3-month process that involves fixing the initial activations from stage 1, but also includes the food and beverage package that are targeted at fundraising for the later staging. Stage 3 then launches 8 months later following the fundraising, incorporating the community farm garden, transitioning from council to community occupation of the farm garden and permanent weekend markets and afternoon sun garden and the establishment of Richmond High School pathway trial. Stage 4 occurs 2 years down the line. Following the progression of the prior staging, intermittent construction phasing will involve then commence the construction phase of the Griffith Gleadell Richmond High School pathway. Rolling Lane becomes fully activated and infrastructural development of Gleadell Street occurs. These 2 activation points should further accommodate an already thriving Gleadell Street. The completion of this stage also inducts the grand opening of Destination Gleadell. Here are some of the estimated figures we've looked at in stage 1 of our placemaking proposal. This will commence the fundraising that stimulates the progression of stage 2 and then the later stages.
When we feel attached and care for a place, it becomes an extension of ourselves. We believe there is an incredibly authentic sense of belonging in this community and connection to Gleadell Street site. No longer will Gleadell Street be a through road dominated by cars. Rather, it will be a place to linger longer. A place that nurtures, connects between people and celebrates the character and uniqueness of the community. We want our proposal to privilege these core site values, energising Gleadell Street to become a connected network of destinations.